Okay, today I need to talk to you about how I pace myself to keep my students on track during whole group instruction. My first tip that I use is always using the planning as my roadmap. So I use the planning that we do the previous week, and then we, as a third grade, we are using Google Slides to keep our planning and our day on routine. So when our students comes to class, they will always find on the board, they will find a Google slide, and then they will find what are the expectations for the morning work. After that, we try to keep them on that pace, being all the time on them, so they know whatever is on the Google slide, it's what they are like, is gonna give you the information that they're gonna use. That's one piece. So when I say keeping the planning, I also talk about setting on my table everything that I need for my unit. For example, if we're working with reading, I have my vocabulary words, I have my verbs, and if I'm gonna pass out papers, I will also have my papers, all my papers here, so the kids, when it's time to pass the papers, I'm not walking around the room, so I have them all setting up here so I can pass them. So when I plan, I also ask them to have everything ready on their desk so they know what we're planning. If it's an English day, they know they need to have their reading journal on top of the desk if it's reading. And then if it's a Spanish day, they need to have their Spanish book, journal, sorry, on top of the desk. So they need whatever they need is going to be in that journal. What I don't waste time is cutting with them or pasting stuff with them in their journals. I pre-cut everything for them, and I know that might not be helpful, but for the purpose of being on track, whatever I use that is really small, we almost never glue anything in the journals. We almost always use like Pear Decks or those kind of resources. So if I have a paper and I need to pass it out, I just give the papers to the persons in the students in the front of the row, and I tell them, well, get one and pass the other. So they will pass the papers and they won't waste time. So they have to have their glue, their scissors, or whatever they need on top of the thing. That's part of the planning. So the other thing that we do is after I start my whole group instructions, as I told you, we use Google Slides. So in the Google Slides, we always have, as you can see here, we always have the I can statement. So our students always read the I can statement. We talk about it. We embrace about it. Some of them likes to do it like if they're superheroes, or some of them wants to read it like princess. That keeps them involved. But I make them move from their desk, stand and sit, so they keep engaged. I move around the room a lot. I move around the room a lot so the kids have their eyes on me while I'm explaining whatever I need to explain for that day. That works for me because I'm not the kind of teacher that sits on the desk like all the time and teaching. And no, I like to move around the room so they're like, you can see how their faces, heads are trying to find you because they never know who you're gonna ask or what you're gonna say or who are you going to talk to. So they have to be like on the expecting like, oh, it's gonna be me. So I also, another tip that I do, I always keep my tickets with me in my pocket. So if they do something really nice, bam, I give them a ticket. I mean, I'm very in the participation. Um, I like them to participate a lot, so I give them a lot of ticket, and I keep my tickets on this ball. So every day they put their tickets here, and I pull out ticket winners depending if they're doing awesome during the reading. I just give them the ticket. So that also keeps them on track, and they don't waste time because they want to get those tickets. So they feel like really like I want to do this because I want to get this ticket. So that's another piece of motivation that I use to keep them on track. I also use key language, and because we cannot be wasting any minute, especially in third grade, that we need to test a lot. The expectations are really, really high. So what we have tried this year is to use key language, so they have their eyes on us. So whenever you feel that they are not doing what they are supposed to be doing, you just say something to them, and then they talk back to you, so they know their attention has to be on you. Any kind of a strategy. The recent one that I'm using with them is, when I say waka, they answer mole, and if I say waka waka, then they say mole mole. So they love it. So it's something that keeps them on, like they're with you, but there is something really fun too. Not to get lost in the instruction, because sometimes we're really passionate about it. We set timers. So I set timers for me, and I set timers for them. So I set timers for me because I need to know if I'm taking too much time of the whole group instructions, but I also set timers for them. If I know an activity is gonna take them like 10 minutes, I give them maybe 11. So they always know when that minute frame comes, they need to start cleaning up, going back to the desk, or doing whatever to put their eyes on me again. And I count a lot. That's at the beginning is very exhausting, but I count all the time. Like if I pass a paper and they need to glue them, I tell them you have 5 seconds to glue that paper in your journal, and I start 5, 4, 3, 2. Thumbs up if you're ready. Thumbs up. Some thumbs if you need more time. But you have to be there. I cannot be sitting checking papers while they're doing that, because I'm not gonna be really on them. Okay, and the most important piece, I think, is to try to enjoy your lesson as much as you can. So in order to enjoy it, you have to plan. So everything goes back to the planning. um, this is what I do to keep them on track, and that works for me. So if you set the expectations at the beginning, you plan everything, you have everything ready, and then you set your timers, you have your expectations clear with them about time and about what they do, then you won't spend more than the time that you have set for that mini lesson. And that mini lesson, whole group instructions can be 10, 15, 20. It's up to you and your planning and what's your expectation with that standard. I know some standards can take longer depending on the activity that you're doing. It might take longer, but if you say that lesson is gonna take 30 minutes and you see that your kids passing the 30 minutes are not getting it, if it's the whole group, you need to stop the instructions, go to something else, and then think about a new strategy for the next day, because whatever you're doing there, they're not getting it. And then if there are only 5 students that, they're struggling, what I do, I stop there, I close my whole group, and my whole group instructions, I get those 5 kids that didn't get it, I talk to them in my table, and then I keep the rest doing something else because the other group already got it. So there is no point to be like wasting their times and your time. So I hope this is helpful. This is what I do in my class, and this is what my kids been doing during this school year, and I think is really working. Thank you.